He is a reality television star who survived multiple lawsuits, 2 separate impeachments, and a lost election, only to return and secure a second term as both the 45th and 47th President of the United States. To his critics, his entire career looks like a series of erratic impulses. They see a politician who breaks institutional rules at random and thrives on pure, unpredictable chaos. Curious, leaning in, but look closely at his past, and that chaos disappears. Every seemingly spontaneous outburst, every counterattack, and every media spectacle follows a strict, highly repetitive pattern. Long before he ever stepped onto a debate stage, he forged 3 specific survival rules in the cutthroat environment of 1970s New York real estate. He didn't abandon his business tactics when he ran for office. He simply looked at the American political system and treated it as his ultimate real estate acquisition. His father, Fred Trump, was a wealthy developer who drilled a singular obsession into his son: you must be a killer to win. That competitive drive was then hardened in the strict, disciplined ranks of the New York Military Academy. But ambition alone did not guarantee recognition. A teenage Donald learned why at the grand opening of the massive Verrazano-Narrows Bridge. As politicians celebrated the engineering marvel, he noticed the actual designer of the bridge sitting off in a corner, completely ignored by the crowd. That moment forged his first rule: never be a sucker. Doing the hard work is entirely useless if someone else gets the applause. He looked at his father's successful apartment empire in the outer boroughs and realized it offered profit but zero prestige. So he crossed the river. He abandoned the reliable quiet of Queens for the glitz of Manhattan, turning a skeletal skyline into towering monuments bearing his own name. Winning the deal was no longer the main objective. Making sure the entire world was forced to watch him win became the actual goal. That demand for the spotlight eventually drew the wrong kind of attention. In 1973, the Department of Justice hit the Trump family business with a massive lawsuit, accusing them of systemic racial discrimination across their housing complexes. Standard corporate public relations dictates that a company should keep its head down and settle quietly. Instead, a 27-year-old Donald Trump went on the offensive, aggressively countersuing the United States government for $100 million. The judge threw the countersuit out, and Trump eventually folded, signing an agreement to change his rental practices. But he secured one crucial concession: the settlement legally required zero admission of guilt. This became rule number 2. When attacked, double down and never apologize. He learned that relentless fighting creates a public perception of strength, and to his audience, that aggressive posture easily outweighs any factual admission of guilt. With his tactics solidified, he needed to scale his image. He mastered media manipulation, sometimes literally calling reporters using fake aliases like John Barron to act as his own hype man over the phone. This chart shows how effective that direct deception really was. He convinced Forbes magazine to print his net worth at $100 million, when in reality, he was worth closer to $5 million. He realized his name was more bulletproof than concrete. Even as his physical casinos lost money and faced bankruptcy, he licensed the Trump brand onto water, steaks, and airlines, insulating himself from the actual financial risk. This manufactured, infallible billionaire persona was then broadcast directly into millions of American living rooms for 14 seasons on the reality television show The Apprentice. Rule 3 was complete: sell the fantasy. He proved that people prefer a spectacular story over a complex reality, and a media-crafted brand can survive almost any traditional business failure. When he rode down the golden escalator in 2015 to announce his presidential campaign, he didn't pivot to standard politics. He mapped his 3 real estate rules directly onto the Republican Party. Applying Rule 1, he demanded the spotlight. He used tabloids and daily posts on Twitter to bypass traditional media gatekeepers, dominating the news cycle and starving his political opponents of any oxygen. Applying Rule 2, he refused to fold. Through 2 impeachments, multiple federal and state indictments, and the fierce institutional fallout of the 2020 election loss, he never once retreated or apologized. And applying Rule 3, he sold the fantasy. Millions of working-class voters bought into the brand of the strongman, the everyman billionaire who promised to fix the system on their behalf. His political resilience baffles traditional experts because they analyze his policies, but his supporters are fiercely loyal to his manufactured brand identity, protecting him from scandals that would sink a conventional politician. The ultimate culmination of this decades-old playbook materialized when he took the oath of office, cementing his historic return to power as the 47th President of the United States. He did not adapt his personality to survive the rigid norms of Washington. He brought his own playbook and forced Washington to bend to his rules. His legacy proves his core philosophy. In modern America, the person who controls the narrative controls reality.